Today I'm going to show you how to fuse silver to make a circle pendant. Hey guys, Susan Thomas here. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a graduated circle pendant. It's got lots of little circles all kind of jumbled into one. It's just really fun, simple, cute, and just kind of fun to make. So we're going to get started with that. So you're going to need quite a few tools and supplies to do this. We're going to be fusing metal, which is really cool. So I've got quite a few things here. Do you need them all? Yes. Well, okay, you could probably substitute some, but this is kind of a really good assortment of things you would like to have if you were making a fused pendant necklace like I'm doing today. So first of all, first things first, you're going to need a fireproof surface. I'm just using some little soldering blocks here. You can also use a fire brick or something like that. Just anything fireproof for your surface. You will need to use safety glasses for this project because we'll be using a torch. I am just going to use one of these small butane soldering torches for this. Nothing fancy. You don't have to have anything fancy to fuse sterling or to fuse fine silver. Then you'll also need some butane to fill the torch. I've got that here so I could, just in case I run out, and then also to show you guys how to fill it if you need it. I have got a third hand here. This is essentially kind of like a little cross-lock tweezer that's on a stand that holds the silver for you so you don't burn your fingers. Very important. You can substitute it for something else, but it does need to be something that you don't have to hold on to the silver with. I have got fine silver wire. We're using 16 gauge wire today. And I've already made my circles, but I'll show you how we're going to do that a little bit later. But this is 16 gauge fine silver. It's very important to use fine silver for this project because we'll be fusing, not soldering. Then, in addition to that, you're going to need just a sterling silver chain to put the circle pendant on when you're done, some water for quenching, some polishing tools. I'm just kind of keeping it simple today. This is what I have, and a lot of you guys don't have a lot of different tools, rotary tools and stuff. So I like to keep it simple in my projects and use things like a brass bristle brush and steel wool that you can find at any hardware store. Then we're going to hammer these and texturize these as well, just to make them all look a little bit different. So we're going to use some texturizing hammers. Do you need this many? No, I have 3, but you don't have to have 3. You can just have 1. But I've got just some different ends on these texturing hammers. These are Wubbers, which I really like. And then I have a basic chasing hammer. If you just have a basic chasing hammer, you really can do a lot of texturing. So don't worry if that's all you have. Then I've got a bench block for us to work on. Some essential tools for opening and closing large rings. I've got my chain nose plier and my flat nose plier, and a really good flush cutter is super important to this project. Then as far as shaping the rings are concerned, I love this little dowel set. It's just perfect because it's got 6 different sizes of dowels. I've got 7 different sizes of rings, but you can do 5 or 6 or 7 or 3 or whatever works for you. If you don't have as much silver, try 3, try 2, just whatever you want to do. But I like this because it gives me the opportunity to make different sizes, like of concentric circles, and it looks best if this particular project is kind of layered. And then just for kicks, I have a ring mandrel here, and that's just really personal preference. I have a feeling that I'm going to want my rings to be perfectly round. Now, once I hammer them up and work with them, it's fine silver, it's really soft, they might not be as round, so I'm probably going to want to put them onto this ring mandrel and just hammer them out a little bit and make them a little bit more round. So I have it out here just in case. I think that is everything that you're going to need to get started. I do have a pair of glasses. Those are so I can see. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to take it a little slow. I know that's not my usual style, but I want to make sure you guys know how to do this. First thing, I'm just going to move some of these things out of my way so that you guys can see what we're doing and I'm set up to get to work. I don't remember if I had mentioned that I've got some water here for quenching. That's also really important. Obviously, I'm not going to need the chain till the end, so I'll move that to the side. I'm going to go ahead and move my bench block and my hammers off to the side because I'm going to be using fire and I prefer not to burn any of these up. So since we're starting with the fusing, I'll move all those things kind of out of my way for now. And I'm just going to give myself a little larger fireproof surface. This is such a cute table. I wish you guys could see it. Handmade little table, and I'm going to be super sad if I get any burn marks on it, but you know, It could happen. So, and then I'm definitely going to need these tools right now, and I will need my dowels, which I'm going to hold right here. All right, so first thing we're going to be doing is making our concentric circles. And the key to making this look really cool is for each one just to be slightly smaller than the next one. And what I've found is that if you have too much space between two and then not enough between the next one, it just looks a little bit, I don't know, wonkier, which is why I like this set, because it's clearly going to give me kind of graduated sizes of these little circles. So way you do this basically is you just take your dowels out of here, and you guys, you can use anything that's circular. One thing that's kind of cool about life in general is a lot of things are circular shaped. So you can use any circular shaped object that you can find within reason. I'm pretty sure your rolling pin is going to be a little too large for this project. So this is about a 1-inch dowel, and that's my biggest circle, if that kind of helps you guys. So I've got a 1 inch, a 7/8, a 5/8. I'll hold this in the picture so you guys can see the numbers here. 1/8, 7/8, 5/8, 1/2, 3/8, and a 1/4. And then I cheated at one point and made one that was right between these two, but that's how come I have 7. But you know, you guys can just go with the 6, or you can do 7, or you can cheat and find other things. It's just kind of whatever you want to. It always looks good no matter how many circles you use. So what you're going to do is basically just take this dowel and wrap this fine silver wire around the dowel. One thing you'll find with fine silver is it is so soft that you're not going to have to use any tools or anything to make a really pretty circle out of that wire. See that? It's beautiful. It's super, super easy to bend. I think it's one of the greatest things to get started with if you're thinking about getting started, getting into soldering or doing more complicated types of jewelry, because all you have to do is hit it with the heat and it fuses itself. I know, that's really cool, right? No special anything, it just fuses. So I don't have to have pickle, I don't have to have flux, I don't have to have solder or solder paste or anything like that. So then I'm just going to use my flush cutter. If you guys are not familiar with a flush cutter, they are flat and smooth on one side. That's the side that cuts flush. On the other side, you can see it's kind of divoted and grooved right there. On that side, your wire is going to be pointy. You want 2 flat flush cuts, so you're actually going to have to turn your tool so that each side is cut flat and flush so that those 2 sides come together in a perfect join. One thing that's going to be really important about this is making sure that joint is really, really tight. So if you wear glasses, you need to make sure that at this point you put them on and check it out. So after I do that one, then I'm actually going to make the rest of my circles using that exact same process and then just kind of set them to the side. So I'm going to put my glasses on and just kind of get to work here and make sure that all the circles that I already made are ready to be fused. So the way I do this is, I don't know if you guys are watching real close, but if you look at this, see that's a pretty good join. I'm just actually going to kind of push those 2 pieces just a little bit past each other and then pull them together so there's a little bit of tension on that piece. And then, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop this one into the third hand because that's the first one that we are going to fuse. And then I'm just going to take a minute to do that same thing to all the rest of these circles that I already made. So they're already all flush cut. I'm just going to kind of do that same thing where I just overlap it just a little bit. You see how it's overlapped? And then pull that back so there's tension on there because I want that to be as tight as possible. And I'm going to put them back here. I've got 2 of this size, so I'll move that to the side. I'm just going to move them back because I'm going to be fusing in this direction and I don't want to get any heat on the other circles. And once you get 7 of these or 6 of these or 5 or however many you decide you're going to do ready to go, then you're going to need to make 2 small jump rings, and those 2 small jump rings are going to be what you use to actually hang the piece on the chain. So see, this one's really far apart. That one's never going to fuse. If it's not touching, it won't fuse. And so that's really important. So you're going to want to get all this, as much tension on these as possible. Now, these are not going to be perfect circles. I am a massive perfectionist, and they're not going to be perfect, so we're all going to have to live with that because it is handmade. So, one other thing that's cool about fine silver, guys, is it stays shiny even when you fuse it, so you don't have to worry too much about polishing these up. So your steel wool or your brass bristle brush is going to be just fine for this project. All right, now these last 2, they're a little smaller. These are going to be the 2 jump rings that I'm going to use to attach it to my necklace. So I'm going to use my 2 pliers to do this, and I'm just going to get those as tight as I can right there. I was able to use my fingers because this is so soft for the first few, but these little guys right here I need to kind of just use these 2 pliers to get that nice and tight. So there's the last 2. So I essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 circles to fuse. All right, I'm going to switch to my safety glasses here. Anytime you're using, really when you cut wire, you should also use safety glasses. I wear glasses, so a lot of times I just put those on. But if you have the kind of safety glasses that'll go over your glasses, that'll really help you. But you always want to wear these whenever you're doing anything with fire. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull my hair back so that I don't have my hair in the picture. So I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back with you guys. All right, so we're going to get this little torch out here so we can solder everything, or actually fuse everything. If you guys haven't ever used one of these, it's just a butane torch. It does need to get up to a certain heat in order, I believe 1170. I'm not 100% sure about that, so don't quote me, but you can look it up online. But if they're not hot enough, it won't fuse your silver. So the little ones that you find, the creme brulee torches, aren't going to work. Look for one that's rated for sterling silver, and that will definitely work for your fine silver. So this guy's really easy to work with. If you look down at the bottom, it's got a place for you to fill it with the butane. This is a little butane that I picked up at a hardware store. It just has a little nozzle on the top. You just press it on there, press it in, and it fills in with butane. Super easy. And then when you turn it on, you're just going to turn off your safety right here on the back. See that little safety notch? Pull that down, and then you're going to press on this red button, which turns it on, like so. And then you pull back on this guy right here. That's called a continuous flame, and that continuous flame will keep it going so you don't have to hold on to the red button. Other side here is just up and down to make it hotter or cooler, or a higher or a lower flame. The key to soldering and or fusing is to work at the hottest point of your flame. And if you take a look at this, I will turn that on and hold it, and then just kind of point for you guys right there at the tip of that V. That blue V right there, that's going to be the hottest point. If you work way back here, it's not going to be hot enough to fuse. If you work way out here, not going to fuse. So always look for the tip of that blue V, and then you know you're in the right place. Okay, so let's start fusing. So essentially I'm going to heat this little guy up, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to aim right for that join right there and get that hot enough so it kind of turns a little bit of a kind of an orangey color and fuses together, and it's really fast and really cool when it happens. Okay, done. It basically goes kind of liquid on you. Let me just check in there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. And I've got my water here to quench that in. Always make sure you have water. See how hot that is? Tss. Okay, then you're gonna go, and I'm quenching my third hand too because I don't want to burn myself. Okay, next up, we're gonna bring up the next one so you guys can see it again. The key is you just want to melt this one little join right here. You don't want to melt the whole thing. It can be really fast. One thing I always tell people that you have to watch out for is if you have any air between the two sides of your circle, so pretend like these are the two edges of your circle. If you have any air between there like this, then you're going to melt this way, and you're never going to fuse it together. So the tighter you can get that join, the more likely you're going to be successful with fusing. You can see I'm kind of going around the piece, kind of heating it fairly evenly, but then concentrating right there at that join. And you can see I just went just a little bit far on that, but it's going to be fine because this is, like I said, a handmade piece, and it's not going to be perfect. So I'll just turn it to the side here so you can look at that and see how it got a little thinner right there. That just meant I just got just a touch too much heat right there, but it's still going to look beautiful. But if I'd left it on there any longer, I would have had to start over on that circle. So we're just going to keep it going here and just continue with each circle. If you want to, you can kind of take this third hand. I love these because you can actually kind of see how I just kind of turned that a little bit, give myself just a hair better view of my join. Perfect. See that one? It's a little shiny. Just goes a little shiny on you. Next. I'm keeping these other ones a little bit farther back now from where I am, because if it gets hot, you can burn your fingers, which is definitely not a fun thing to have happen, but it does. All right, just kind of keep it going here. Now, when you're soldering, it's really, really important to heat the whole piece. I don't find when I'm doing the fusing that I have to be quite so careful about that. But what you don't want to do is heat too much on one side and not enough on the other. So that's part of why I'm being so careful. When it all turns red, that's when it's about to happen. Because I'm going to be hammering these too. And when you hammer them, if they're not perfectly fused, they will come back apart, which is no fun after you've already put your torch away. So this one, I can see there's some space and some air on this one. Let's see how it goes. It's probably just about the way I cut it. But hopefully I'll be able to fuse it. You can see they're all staying super shiny. I'm not having to worry about using any flux or anything to clean this with. I'm not having to use any pickle. A lot of people really like fusing because of that, like working with fine silver, because you don't ever have to worry about it tarnishing or turning black or getting fire scale or anything like that. And fire scale is it's something that happens to sterling silver. It brings the copper to the surface, and fire scale can be cleaned off, but if you get fire stain, whew, you might as well start over. I've been working with sterling silver for a long time, and there's a lot of fun things you have to learn about it. All right, so continuing our circle fusing here. Getting a little smaller on our circle, so it's getting a little faster. Ooh. There we go, perfect. 3 to go. 1 small circle and then the 2 little jump rings. So far everything is fused, which is pretty exciting. Perfect. So I actually now put 2 small jump ring circles to the side that we will fuse after we get all these hammered and ready to go. So just a little math issue for you. But we will put those to the side, and that's the last thing we're going to fuse, which is going to be kind of cool because you're going to get to see me actually fuse them once everything is put together. So I'm just going to pull all these guys out of my water here, and we're going to hammer these out and give them a little bit of texture. You can leave some of them smooth if you want to. You can hammer them. You can kind of do whatever you want to, but I think because it's fine silver, you do need to do some hammering on these. Otherwise, they're literally so soft, especially now that we have kind of fused them and heated them up, that they're just not going to hold their shape very well. So we're going to put them onto a bench block and hammer them out like so. And you can make all of them kind of flattened. And then, like I said, I've got my my ring mandrel here, and you can just take this ring mandrel if you want to and just kind of do a little bit of hammering around the ring mandrel just to kind of round them out a little bit. This biggest one is going to be just a little bit too big, but it's working out all right. So you see there, that's a pretty little circle right there. Put that one out. And I'm going to go ahead and hammer them all flat first, and then I'm going to get my texturing hammers out here. So flatten them out. And then, all right, so that's pretty. And so you can kind of see how these are going to come together. Each one should sort of fit inside the one right before it. And bring it on here. Just like that. Hammering it was kind of fun. All right, down again. Oops, let's do that last. pretty sure that last one's not going to fit inside, but we shall see. Maybe. Yeah, that one's going to go right there. Yeah, that one. All right. Boom. Cool little pile, right? Now we're going to do a little texturizing. So on some of them, I'm going to use just my little ball peen hammer right here and just get kind of a pretty little hammered finish on it. This will shine it up a little bit and it'll just look really, really pretty. So I'll do that on some, and then I'll like get this next one, and I'm going to use, this is like a little, almost like just a stripe. Gives it a little, almost like a diamond cut look to it. Like so. Next guy, I'm gonna leave this one. Actually, I'm gonna do it just around the edge of this one. Just kind of almost edging it. Just because they look so pretty. That. This guy right here. I've got another texturing hammer. Let's see what we got here. Just some little almost curved bars on that one. And then we'll do the hammered look on this one. And the key now is going to be to put this all together with all the textures faced up, so you've got a front and a back. Let me see. I think I'm just going to skip this one and just go with 6, the 6 from the set. That was my little cheater one that I made. And we'll go. So I'm going to end up with 6 circles working right from this dowel set, which gives me a 1, a 7/8, a 5/8, a 1/2, a 3/8, and a 1/4. So I'll show you guys the ones I used right there. Pretty cool, right? I mean, it's a cool set. It's really neat. Okay, now what you have to do is you're going to have to take your jump rings that we made, and I'm going to hammer those flat too, just because I think they look cooler. And I'll do 1, 2. We got to fuse these babies. Now, I might be taking on too much, trying to do 2 of them, but maybe not. We shall see. So I'm going to open those up. Like I said, it's still pretty soft, so it should be easy to open up. And then you're going to take these circles and you're just going to stack them on here. Now make sure that you, like I said, keep all of the textured sizes up. If you are a maker that likes to mark all of your pieces, if you want to mark this on the back with any type of a mark, like I always use a star, if you want to mark it, now is your chance to do that marking. And so I'm going to now take this and close it up like so, and then kind of show you guys how this looks. Let me do that one more time. I'm going to go the other direction just because I think it'll be easier. So starting with the small one, then the next one, next, 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 and then I'll close this one up. So this now looks like that. Pretty cool, right? And I'm going to take this and come back to my fireproof surface. Get all my hammers out of the way. I'm going to come back to the opening here, get this in here. I'm going to get these a little bit out of the way. Make sure that's on top. Let's get everything set up here. So there's where I'm trying to fuse. So back into my glasses here. And let me make sure I've got that a nice tight join, because this is a little tricky. when I do this, I want to make really, really certain that I don't hit too much heat on any of these other rings. That's why I said I might have, you know, bitten off a little more than I can chew by trying to do 2 rings on this, but we'll see. Okay, so get you guys out of the way. There it goes. Okay. Boom. So I was having a few issues with soldering that one large ring to put it all together. So I'm just going to do 1 for now instead of 2. And I thought about it, and I think the best thing to do for that piece is probably just to use a sterling silver jump ring for that part, just so that you don't have to worry about soldering that or fusing that one piece. But it still looks really pretty even just with the 1 ring. Like that. The reason being is because it's such a small ring, and I was having the problem with this being a heat sink for that, it was hard to not hit all my other silver rings and get any of them fused to the rest of it. So think that through and work on that another day. But for now, I did get one of them fused, so that's what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be our ring to hold it all together. So I was being slightly ambitious trying to do a double ring there, but look how pretty it is. Isn't that cute? And so now at this point, you've got all your rings done. You can take your steel wool or your brass brush and just kind of polish everybody up a little bit, especially if you got a little bit too much heat on it like I did and it kind of dulled down just a little bit. So I'm just going to work with my brass brush on these. They kind of flatten out since they all fit together. And while they're all together on there, what I'm going to do is just kind of polish those up. If you have any sort of a rotary tool or anything like that, you guys can use that now to polish each one of these up as well. You can also do something like oxidize them, which is really fun to get different looks on the different rings. But you really don't have to do all that. These look great just as they are, just kind of hanging on your sterling silver chain. So just polish them up with this. You can also use your steel wool, but that's essentially what all of those little guys are going to look like. And then at this point, all I'm going to do is take my soldered ring and grab my sterling silver chain and put this all together. So just make sure you put it through the right ring, the one that was hard, and just drop that through there like so. Grab the other end. And they'll kind of go a little crazy on you, but that's okay. It just looks kind of cool no matter what you do. But this now is going to be my brand new concentric circle necklace. Well, I really like how this turned out. Like I said, I had that one issue in this project with trying to fuse those smaller circles at the top of all the other fused circles. So I'm going to recommend that when you guys do this the first time, maybe use a sterling silver jump ring or a stainless steel jump ring or even a copper jump ring at the top that is open, that's a little sturdier than your fine silver, before you try fusing with all of those fine silver pieces together. I think if I was in a really quiet place, it would have been fine. But anyway, I just did one ring at the top, and I did fuse it. I didn't do two like I wanted to, but I did do the one ring at the top, and it looks great. So if you struggle with that, don't feel like you're alone, because that is actually not one of the easiest skills in the world. So, but I love the way it turned out. I hope you guys yours turns out really well as well, and I'd love to see pictures of your projects. Let's go through some of the tools and supplies that we used today to get all our fused pieces together. First of all, you're going to need a fireproof surface and some safety glasses. If you have a pair that goes over your regular glasses, that's great because it really helps. Additionally, you're going to need a third hand to hold onto those pieces while you are fusing them together. I did use fine silver wire today, and as we kind of went along, I made a couple recommendations for some other things. Since it's a sterling silver chain, a sterling silver open jump ring would be great up there at the top. Additionally, you're going to need some water to quench in, and just some polishing tools here. I just use steel wool and a brass brush to get things really shiny. This is going to be our torch that we use. This is our this is just a butane torch that is rated for sterling silver, so it gets hot enough to fuse and also solder sterling silver. And then I did show you guys about the fuel that we use inside that torch. As far as basic tools are concerned, you're going to need a flush cutter, a flat nose, and a chain nose plier to kind of cut things and put things together. And then I used some texturizing hammers and a chasing hammer and a bench block, and also my mandrel to round things out. And finally, in order to make all my concentric circles, I just used this little dowel set, and I started with 7 and I ended up just going with 6 rings. But like I said, you can use 4 rings, 3 rings, 2 rings, whatever you want to. It's not a circus, it's just lots of fun. So just make sure you have something like this. As long as you can see kind of graduated sizes of circles, it really works out really well for this project. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys would like to pick up some supplies like the ones I work with today, check out the links down below. What other fusing projects would you like to see us do? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, and we'll see you again next time.